Alrighty, guys. So, okay, so we're going to start Unit 3's last lesson, talking about environmental issues. I hope you guys like my Bitmoji classroom there. Save our Earth, because it's all about saving our planet. So slides 33 through 46 is where the notes are going to go. So hopefully you have your screen split. Okay. Our assignment for today is another one that's kind of a creative one. You guys are actually going to be creating an environmental bumper sticker. Okay, and it's in Google Slides, and I'll show you my example. And it needs to be an environmental bumper sticker that relates to the three countries or the three environmental issues that we're going to be talking about today. Okay, so hopefully you guys get that. All right, so here we go. And then Tuesday, tomorrow, Unit 3 review, Among Us. Now, I want you guys to know that it's not like your typical Among Us, what you guys play on your game, on your phones. It's a little different, but it's still in the same style, okay? But it's a review for Unit 3. All righty, so Monday, 23rd, major issues in Latin America, environmental issues. So first thing we're going to talk about is air pollution in Mexico City, okay? Mexico City is actually the capital of Mexico, and they have an issue with air pollution. I mean, there's lots of cities that do. LA, definitely. If you've ever been out to California, LA has a major issue with air pollution, but we're going to specifically look at Mexico City today. So nearly 200 and a million people, 200 million, not 200, 20 million. Ooh, let me get that right. 20 million people live in Mexico City. So that's a lot of people. So first you got to think about it. 20 million people live in Mexico City. It's actually the second most populated city in the world, and Tokyo is the first. So understanding how many people actually live in this city right there brings about why they would have issues. Excuse me. Need water. So the city's population and location contribute to its bad air pollution problem. So I don't know how many of you guys have ever been to Mexico City, but actually Mexico, it kind of sits in like a valley area, and it's surrounded by mountains. And so that actually keeps like pollutants inside of the city. Does that make sense? Okay. So yeah, it's a problem because of its location, and then how many people live there. It's a large population. And it is considered to be one of the most polluted cities in the world. Okay. So 20 million people, right? Heavily populated city. Location and population contribute to the air quality issues, and it's considered one of the most polluted cities in the world because of this. So we're going to watch a video, a very small video, about the air pollution crisis in Mexico City. It says the environmental crisis in Mexico City. World Health Organization has said the effects are worst.
Uno como está todo el día en la calle, pues tiene molestias como el ardor de garganta, sabor de la boca.
Okay, forgot to turn the video back on. You have to go through this. Okay, so what are some causes of air pollution, okay, in Mexico City? So first of all, huge population, right? Lots of people means there's lots of cars. And when you have cars on the road, you have something called emissions. That's that black stuff that comes out of the car in the back, out of the muffler area. And as you guys all know, that stuff is very toxic, right? It's the reason why different countries around the world and different corporations and different environmental organizations are pushing for greener fuel efficiency, greener cars. So, that's why there's a big push for people to have hybrid cars or even pure electric cars if you can afford one, like the Tesla. But emissions from having all of those people driving cars, that's a major issue. LA has the same type of issue. All the people, all the cars, all that emission smoke, it's really bad for the environment. And then Mexico City has a high elevation and there's less oxygen, so fuels don't fully burn. So oxygen helps fuel burn, okay? And so what happens is because Mexico City kind of sits in a mountain region, but then again, it's surrounded by mountains as well. And so it's kind of like an interesting phenomenon. It's high up, so elevation, oxygen levels are low. And then it's surrounded by a blockade of mountains that keeps the oxygen or the pollutants that are in the air from escaping. So what can happen because you have all of this pollutant in the air, not enough oxygen? You can have issues with your eyes burning, your lungs, and eventually your heart, because you need oxygen. Your oxygen is your lifeline, right? All of your organs inside your body needs oxygen. And so when your oxygen levels are depleted, it affects every inch of you. And once again, like I said, Mexico City is actually surrounded by mountains, the Sierra Madre Mountains, surrounded, and they trap the pollutants in the air and they keep it from escaping. So you can see this is emissions coming from gas, coming from the cars. And you guys know what this is. You guys have seen this before. Seen cars where people are like, ooh, they need to get their muffler fixed because, ooh, should it be that black coming out? But it happens. So what are some solutions? Okay. So they have this issue. It's not good for the environment. It's not good for the people that live there. So what are some things that they're doing to help curb this pollution in their city? Well, first of all, the city is actually promoting more public transportation. So they want people to get out their cars. They want them on buses and the subways, and they want them on bikes. If you can reduce the amount of cars that are on the road, you can reduce the emissions. And reducing the emissions helps with curtailing the air pollution. They're also testing out cleaner burning fuel buses. I don't know if you guys have ever rode the bus in South Bend, but South Bend actually has electric buses and buses that are hybrid. That was a big push a couple of years ago to make sure that our city was doing its part to help clean up the environment, particularly with air pollution. And so the first thing they did was start to transition the buses over and purchase new buses that were either hybrid, meaning they could use electric or gas, or they're totally electric. And so they've actually started that process. There are also restrictions on car use in Mexico City. And they're actually trying to teach people about how to take care of the environment, understanding that it's causing asthma conditions, it's causing premature births, it's causing people to have hospitalizations for all kinds of reasons. So you have to educate people in order for them to understand what are the things they need to do in order to protect themselves and to improve their environmental situation. It's kind of just like with us going on with COVID-19. You got to educate people, right? So that they know exactly what's going on, so that they know how to protect themselves. All right. So I'm going to turn the chat on. Any questions right now about the information I just covered? I'm trying to get this light to be just right so that it's like not it's too much in the face. Are you good? All righty. So now we're going to move on to the destruction of the Amazon rainforest, which for me is major, just because I understand how important the Amazon rainforest is to our environment overall, like the whole earth, not just in Brazil. I think a lot of people, sometimes they think about environmental issues happening somewhere else, and for whatever reason, it's not going to impact us. But this right here, the Amazon, the issues that are happening there with the Amazon and the destruction of the rainforest directly impacts us because of the need to have that forest exist. Okay? So the Amazon rainforest is the largest rainforest in the world. Okay? So it's the largest rainforest in the world. So think about the vegetation there, the trees. And most of it, of course, is in the country of Brazil. It experiences hot and humid and rainy tropical climate. So we've talked about different climate zones. So that's where mostly rainforests mostly lie in the wet, dry, or just wet tropical climate zones. They're basically very close to the equator. Okay. Has a huge variety of plants, trees, insects, birds, and animals. And this is actually called biodiversity. And I know you guys have heard this word before. If you have biology, this is a word that's used in biology, right? When you're talking about biodiversity, talking about the different types of environmental locations for plants, trees, insects, birds, and animals. So I know this is a vocab word that you guys have seen before if you have biology or currently in biology. And here's the big kicker about the Amazon, guys. It actually produces 1/3 of the Earth's oxygen, not just Brazil's oxygen, not just South America, but the Earth's. So 1/3 of our oxygen comes from the Amazon rainforest. So we have to understand that the Amazon is part of our daily existence, us breathing. And the fact that the Amazon is in danger of being destroyed greatly impacts us because it's giving us 1/3 of our oxygen. I don't think you guys understand how important that is. If you've ever had somebody who has had breathing issues and they go to the hospital and the doctors tell them that they're only 1/3, like 2/3 of their lung capacity is working, that's major. To only have 2/3 of your lung capacity working, right? And so if the Amazon gives us 1/3 of our oxygen, and that 1/3 of that part of our oxygen is actually destroyed, that means we have 2/3 of the oxygen left in our earth to consume. Noah says, I had environmental science last semester and diabetic was basically the main thing for that class. Yeah. Environmental science is a great class to have if you're really concerned about just how our environment is affected by different types of pollutants and things that we're doing to try to change that, right? Okay. So this is how large the Amazon rainforest is, guys. So this is South America. And as you can see in the light green, lighted, that most of the, this is Brazil's right here. This is how large this piece of rainforest is. It's very significant for our existence. So in 1950s, the Brazilian government began a building of a major highway system. And so I understand why they had to do it. They were trying to move themselves from being a less developed to a more developed country. And I get it. And having transportation available to people that live in your country so that they can get to and for and conduct business is very important. But the Brazilian government actually had to build this highway in between the rainforest. Like they had to build it within the rainforest region. And so they had to actually destroy some of it and cut some of it down. And so loggers, those are the people who actually, participate in cutting down timber. They came in and this opened it up for them to actually go in and get rid of parts of the rainforest for developmental purposes. This also helped increase Brazil's population because now you have more places for people to live, right? People are transporting themselves from here and there. So increasing the population also means that people need more places to live. So what does that mean they need to do? That means they need to cut down more trees to provide land for more development. And so this has caused a major problem, okay? Because as the population increases, people need places to live. People want to travel, so they need more highways, okay? People need more, they need more forest land, farming land, so that they can produce more food for the people that live there because their population is increasing. So it's just kind of one of those, like it's a ripple effect type of thing. Okay. So we're going to watch this video that talks about why the Amazon rainforest is dying. I'm going to mute my mic first. All right, guys, what do you guys think about that? So deforestation is a huge part of why the rainforest is disappearing, but it's also getting drier and drier because of that. Think about, what did it say, 20 million gallons of water are released by the Amazon rainforest. It actually produces its own rainfall. That's why it's able to maintain itself. But if it dries out and becomes a savanna, which is just basically dry land, it could be detrimental not only to the people there, but to us. You know, we think about how much oxygen we get from the rainforest, how the trees actually help filter out our air. You guys understand that the trees filter out carbon dioxide, like carbon dioxide is their food, like their oxygen. And so we need trees in order to filter out the air pollutants in our air. You know, it's like a give and take, right? And so the trees give us oxygen and then it cleans out the carbon dioxide. But if there's not enough trees out there, that carbon dioxide just kind of sits in the air. And that's the reason why we're having issues with our ozone layer, right, being depleted. So it all comes to play, guys. So because of the deforestation, of course, plants and animals are losing their homes. Many are endangered and some are becoming actually extinct. there is so many variations of diverse plants and animals in the Amazon that they haven't even discovered all of them yet. Scientists believe that there's so many more different species of different types of animals and plants in the Amazon because it's such a vast area, and they haven't yet to find them. Also, a lot of people don't realize that a lot of medications that are used even today, they've actually gotten extracts of plants from the Amazon. So it's like life-saving. They found like components of different plants that can actually help with high blood pressure, diabetes, cancer, and other medical conditions in the world. So if we're getting rid of the Amazon, we possibly could be getting rid of a cure for some disease because we're not thinking about how important that natural process is to even our healing of our bodies. The loss of trees increases carbon dioxide. I said that, right? And a gas that contributes to global warming. So you guys all understand global warming is a major thing. I don't know, people keep saying that it doesn't really exist. You need to talk to someone who lives in an area like the Amazon rainforest or someone who lives near the ocean, and they talk about, you know, the things that they see coming up on the ocean, what do you call it, the pop bottle ringers that get stuck in the animals and things. I've seen a video of a turtle that had a straw stuck in its nose as it was swimming, you know, somebody's debris, McDonald's straw, who knows what kind of straw it was. But I saw it was so sad. It was just the saddest thing. I don't know if you guys, have anybody seen that video? They caught this turtle and it had a straw wedged inside of its nostrils. You know, as it was swimming, it must have got in there, and the person has to take it out. The turtle is bleeding. You know the turtle is in pain. It's just so sad to know that that's somebody carelessly throwing away the straw. And guys, think about it. Some of you guys are careless with things you threw away, right? But it's just to think that something like that can hurt an animal that's just minding its own business, trying to live its best life. And it's because we are not taking care of our environment. All right, so now we're going to move on to oil pollution in Venezuela. So we talked about air pollution in Mexico City, deforestation of the Amazon rainforest, which primarily exists in Brazil. And now we're moving to the country of Venezuela. Venezuela has been in the news somewhat because Venezuela has some issues with their government. Like right now, they're kind of going through some things. There was like, I want to call it a coup. It was kind of like a coup. But they had to like basically overturn the government. There was another guy that was elected, and the current president didn't want to get out of his position. And so, yeah, it caused a lot of people. Inflation is really bad there. Things cost ridiculous amounts of money. People are basically almost starving, and this country has oil. I just want you guys to understand, it doesn't make a lot of sense. They're a leading producer of oil in the world. They have lots of it. But because of all of the political issues that's going on, they're not able to produce what they need in order to take care of their people. So it's one of the leading producers of oil. And they've been producing oil for about 100 years. Once they found it, they were like, hey, we're on this. Oil production has boosted the economy. Now the economy is kind of tanking a little bit because of the political issues that are going there. But it's also a main source of income for many people. So even if you don't work in the oil fields, you work for a company that has something to do with oil. If you guys understand that, right? So it like is a major employer, right? This is like their employer for their country. Some aspect of most people's jobs has something directly correlated with the oil industry in Venezuela. Oil production does result in toxic waste, air pollution, and oil spills. We've had oil spills here in this country. We had one several years ago that was in the Gulf of Mexico, and it really decimated fishing areas for people who, like, that's their livelihood, right? They fish, that's what they do, that's how they make their money. And then the oil spill caused the water to be muddy, and they had to clean it up. It cost a lot of money. And there are people who have some very interesting new technology that helps clean up oil spills. I've noticed this guy created some type of foam. It's a very interesting kind of foam complex foaming mechanism and the foam kind of helps suck up the oil, almost like Dawn soap. I don't know if you guys ever seen commercials with Dawn soap and the little ducks. Dawn is actually used to help when there's oil spills, help clean off animal life. It's actually used that way. It's a very good dishwashing liquid that helps actually cut grease. It does. It's very great. And so they actually donate, Dawn, the company, I think it's Procter & Gamble, they actually donate gallons and gallons of their Dawn dishwashing liquid. Anytime there's an oil spill, they donate it to the environmental organizations that actually go and help clean up as far as like the animal life and things of that such. Oh, you have family that lived there and they were affected by that? Yes. And it's so horrible because it gets into places that you don't even realize it's getting into. And then, months later, they'd be like, oh my gosh, there's oil here. So are they fishermen? No, was that part of their livelihood? Because like shrimp is really big in the Gulf, crawfish, there's some other types of, seafood that is, they fish. And it impacts them greatly. And then it impacts just us, those of us who like to eat fish. Like I love shrimp, and so prices go up, right? Because now there's not enough of that product being produced because the fishermen can't fish because the fish have died or shrimp have died or, because of the oil. So then that affects the economy as far as, purchasing items and things. So it's like a ripple effect. Once again, pollution causes ripple effects, not just in the environment, but also in the economy. I don't think people even understand how it can really like turn over, an economic system for a person and make it worse for them because we're not taking care of the environment. So what are the problems with oil in Venezuela? Well, first of all, the oil spills have damaged their environment. And because their government is struggling right now with political things, they're not really taking care of things like they should. There's no watchdogs. Does that make sense? The government has more pressing issues to deal with. So they're not really thinking about the oil spills that are occurring. I watched a video yesterday about they're allowing some oil refineries to kind of go into decay. So nobody's taking care of them. And so the oil is just kind of seeping out. I think we're going to watch the video we have is going to actually talk about that today too. And it hurts the ability for fishermen to earn a living. Just like Noah said, her family was affected greatly. Noah said greatly affected. His family was greatly affected by the oil spill that happened in Louisiana in the Gulf Coast. And, we have to be mindful of that. There was an oil pipeline that burst in, I want to say North Dakota or South Dakota. I want to say 2 years ago. There's a Native American tribe in that region, and they were fighting against this company that was trying to put this oil pipeline through this swampland, a marshland that was actually part of the Native Americans' land. And so the government actually has stepped in and was like, oh, you know what, they can do that. We need the oil. So we're going to annex this land from them and take it from them, right? And so when they took it from them, there was this big, protest about it. And so they put this pipeline in there, and guess what happened to the pipeline? It broke. So oil got into this natural marsh area that was supposed to be a natural habitat for animals. Once again. And that kind of thing does happen. And I understand we need oil, right? We're very dependent on oil. But we also have to find better ways to actually extract the oil and make it a safer fuel for us all, right? And then we have to start looking at other fuel sources. We have to. Wind, sun. All right, so I'm going to watch this video about some people are calling oil a curse. Can you imagine that, right?
El daño está ocurriendo, es visible, no es algo que se asume.
Le están echando un químico que él se hunde. Ese petróleo que se hunde se vuelve pelota y se viene hacia las orillas. Entonces eso se le mete a las redes y eso nos prohíbe a nosotros pescar. Dale, 2, 3.
Unos días que tiene uno que bañarse con gasolina.
Esta creo también.
Las que están llenas de petróleo ellos las regalan, no las dan a nosotros. La limpiamos para nosotros limpia, venderla también. Para obtener algo de plata también nosotros nos ayudamos con esto.
Sí hay un impacto bastante fuerte en cuanto a la reproducción, alimentación. Obviamente hay niños que su dieta se está viendo afectada.
So imagine that, right? We think of oil as being something like a good thing as far as, having oil in your country, and working for an oil company, you can make a lot of money, But as you can see, because Venezuela is having some issues with their political system, things aren't being taken care of. They said that a lot of the oil platforms are cracked and the oil is seeking out. You saw that scene where that dog is sitting there and it's just nothing but blackness, right? And the thing that I saw that was just so problematic is the fact that people are cleaning the oil off the fish so that they can eat it and sell it because this is their livelihood. I mean, can you imagine that? Like, this is what your mom has to do in order for you to make this food edible. She's got to sit there and clean oil off of the fish in order for you guys to eat it. I mean, it's just something I don't think we even, fathom. Like, what? But this is the nature of their existence. Venezuela oil also produces carbon dioxide, which is not good for the environment, right? It's not good for the air. Causes breathing problems. And you saw there in the video, they were talking about how the children are affected because the nutrition is so bad, because the fish that provides fish is really good for you. It has, omega-3s and things of that such. But since they don't have this fish that's healthy because it has oil in it, the kids are eating that food, right? And then you can imagine what other environmental issues are occurring too. What if they have a farm and they have, small crop and it's near the water source is actually being contaminated from the oil? That water source is going to that crop and the crop will be affected by oil, the chemicals from the oil too. So that's another impact to their nutrition and their wellness. And it also contributes to global warming. I think once again, we don't understand how these environmental issues, even though they are located and are occurring in different parts of the world, away from us right here in little Elkhart, Indiana, the impact is globally, okay? It's globally. All right. So we are basically done with our notes for today, okay? So I want to kind of give you guys some information about your assignment, all right? So you guys are actually going to create a environmental bumper sticker. You guys know what bumper stickers are. People put them on their cars, right? Promoting all kinds of things. But your job is to create an environmental bumper sticker, right? And you're going to create one, and it's got to have one of these messages, just one. You're either going to do air pollution. So think about air pollution in Mexico City. You're going to either do deforestation, and I would say do deforestation of the Amazon because that's the one we're kind of looking at, right? The Amazon rainforest. Wait, go back, please. What am I going back to? Okay, Kira, I gotta move on because this is being recorded, so I kind of gotta, yeah. All right. Okay. Just hold on just a minute, okay. Oil pollution, okay, in Venezuela. Okay, so I want you to think about those 3 different types of environmental issues. You're going to pick one of them to do your bumper sticker for, okay? There needs to be a message on your bumper sticker. Now, I've told students, I don't mind if you go to the internet and actually kind of look and research messages that are out there about environmental issues, about these particular ones, or if you come up with a catchy one, all right? There needs to be some color. All right. And there needs to be some images. There needs to be clip art. Okay. And like I said, you can borrow a message from the internet, but you must create your own visual. Do not copy someone else's work. So let's say I'm going to show you my example and see what I actually mean by that. Okay. As far as go and find a message on the internet, but make sure the imagery, the coloring, the photo, the pictures is your own. Okay. So this is what I'm saying. This is my example. So I actually went to the internet and found this saying, may the forest be with you. And of course, it's a play on Star Wars, right? But the imagery is my own. I actually colored the background green. I found these little trees as clip art, and I actually inserted them into my bumper sticker, okay? And so I changed the wording, the font, and things like that. So I did borrow the saying, may the forest be with you, but everything else is my own creation, okay? So on your slide 48, I think, is it 47? I have to go back and see. I gave you a blank space with the bumper sticker, like it's clear, right? It's just a little bump, it's just a rectangular curved area. That is where you're going to put your bumper sticker information, inside of that particular area, okay? And so I only want you to use that. I don't want you to use the whole thing. Specifically want you to have it look like a bumper sticker, which, you know, they're usually rectangular and smaller in size. I don't want you to use the whole page of the Google slide, okay? So are there any other questions? Okay, Kara says she missed one. So you missed this global warming? Is that the one you missed at the end? Okay. It was global warming. That's the last one. All right. Does anybody have any questions? I'm going to go back to the bumper sticker assignment. Remember, you're using the slide that is in your interactive notebook, okay? I have kids who keep turning in stuff to me, and it has nothing to do with what's inside of their interactive notebook, and then the assignment is wrong because instead of them paying attention to what I've given them, they're doing something else. And so that's a problem as well. So let me go back to my first page so you guys know. Yep, slide 48, I was right. Slide 48, if you go to see your slide 48, you'll see that it kind of looks just like mine as far as set up. You're going to be putting your information inside of that little rectangular imagery that I have there, all right? So does anybody have any questions?